All right, this episode of Game of Names may seem a little controversial to some people, but it's true, and just watch and you'll see. We had two brothers who had a little burger joint, and then somebody saw the prospect in it, and he bought it from them. This man's name is Ray Kroc. Now, you could do it just as short form, Ray, as in the reference active, vitally identified. Like ray of light. A ray? Okay, Ra is a sun. Now, if that sun became a form, it would be vitally identified. Now, if you wanted to kinetically active here, ongoing, unseen concept, it means you're going to steal someone's light. What is a crook or what is a crock? You know? Now, Raymond, the reference active, vitally identified mound, but mund, manifested ongoing notion to and from. Now, Albert, the active ling, or as it lie, base, expressing reference plus, now crock that, kinetic, reference, ongoing, unseen, or constant to him. So he lived his vibration from the world around him. Born October 5th, 1902. What's intense? What's coming into expression? And what's ongoing base? So he's going to ongoing base, what's coming intense and expressing. Okay, now realize that the farmed animals on Old MacDonald's farm are just young 1, 2, 3-year-old animals. Now let's say that those aren't the only animals that end up in these things. This applies to all of these people because let's realize that the founders are not the people who do anything with the store anymore. They're just a face. And that face is covering for something going on behind it. Yes, they had their position in the world. They had their life. But this is universal and timeless. So even though it seems like all that stuff, these numbers will always add up. Things will always add up. People will always be in their place because this is the illusion that time seems like. We are here really physically. We are here really spiritually. But there's something way, way bigger, and I'm teaching it to you. So nothing against the man. He was playing his position so that we would all come around finally. Raymond Albert Kroc, to take your light, to steal light, and then to junction that bottom line expression as an ongoing base. So his ongoing base was off of killing, taking the light from others and feeding it to other people. Now, before I move on, I want to point out that I am in no way trying to insult all these people. I'm telling you, I understand death. I understand all this stuff. I myself, that was my first job. That was a paid job outside of like helping farmers and stuff like that when I was a kid. When I actually was old enough to get a legal job, I worked at McDonald's. That was my first job. Not only that, I went back to a different McDonald's 15 years later and became manager. I was unaware at one point too. It happens. These people went their whole lives unaware of who they really were. They were just living their vibration because they thought they were their name and their ego and their body. And that's really where people lose themselves. On top of the person or the founder of these restaurants, I'm going to also show you that all these magic words matter when they're associated in these ways. We have the manifested constant to itself, to and from that manifested concept to itself, to and from the ongoing notion, active as it lie, to and from. So they're giving somebody something that is of the to and from. So it's given to somebody. Ongoing notion, as it lies. Okay, what does as it lies mean? As it lies, and then to and from. So they're giving something to and from something that had to go to and from. Something that died to be given to you. MacDonald's. That's one definition of it. You could also say MC means of, and then you could say Donald as in done of old. Like it's things that were always done. Things that were done all along. The way things are. That's not really how things are. We have to understand that words have power and they hold position on us, in our minds, in the universal mind, on a mass scale. So some may not think that way, but the majority does, whether they want to say it or not. I mean, everybody knows that McDonald's is not the best place, but for some reason, it's still open and people still go there. And not only that, M is a power letter because it's the end of the first half of the alphabet, which means coming into tense. They're in tense, 13. It's also an Aries symbol that they use, the golden arches. So it's just so much magic to it, and most people don't know it. And M is the first letter of magic, doesn't really mean anything, just say manifestation. That being bright and yellow, that having of done old, so everyone hears that. They grew up here in Old MacDonald had a farm, and then it's about the farm, and then they go there and they eat the animals that are raised on those farms. They got you a long time ago when you were a little kid. You always had a friend wearing big red shoes. And now, if you understand what that means, think about what some of those animals are. Anyway, let's move on to the next one. Rex Dave Thomas. Once again, no offense to any of these guys. I'm not going to say it anymore after this second person. But Rex Dave Thomas. If you wanted to Rex, or Rec, he Rex David. David is the individual. Think of I-N-D-I-V-I-D. Now we're identifying the ID as the person when we talk about the individual. Now when we say the word David, we're saying dia, or the to and from, activated, vital, identified, to and from. It's the average person, David. It's just the one who's coming through. Dia, active, vital, ID, but then you could just say identified, dia. So it's David. But then Thomas, so if you Rex David, then you plus here, ongoing, manifest, active, subject, which means you're doing something with that thing that you wrecked. Then with his birthday being July 2nd, 1932, along with Rex David Thomas, he's generated in group, severed and even, the G, July 7, base, and then 1932, he would be the constant to himself or the unseen concept base. So he's taking something and doing something with a Rex David Thomas. Generated and even, base, 32 is concept base. Conceived at 30 because it's already in 3D. Do you see what I'm saying? So that's power. People don't know this. They could have done something different, but they weren't using their heart. They were chasing after stuff in the world that they were either taught or also taught to go after, like money or wealth or fame or achievements. Not thinking about morally what they're doing to other living things. That is important, see? People make a choice. You're not just following along and doing things. It's because it's resonating with your name and you're not thinking with your heart. You're listening to your old pastimes or what people say they passed down. But the people that passed those things down were people feeding death to each other, okay? This is how we raise in consciousness, of course. But anyway, Wendy's, the name Wendy's, plural expressed notion, dies to and from vital identity. See what I'm saying? Now, when you use it in those contexts with those names, you'll see why they're the kind of restaurants they are. Now we'll move into Burger King. It has co-founders, two men, James Whitman McLemore. Now, James is the junction of ams, or the junction of I ams, and you could say junction, active, manifest, expressed, subject. Whitman, plural hitman, or plural here, identified, plus manifest, active notion. And then McLemore, of love expressing, or because l'amour means love, or amour does, but when you say l'amour, it means the little loved one. But then you could say McLemore, and it's manifest concept or unseen concept, constant to itself. As it lie active, manifest ongoing reference expressed. So something's already lying active, and you manifest an ongoing reference expressed. So then May, the 5, the expression, 30th, the constant to itself ongoing in 30, it's not just, it's the C intense, it's the concept intense. And then from one side to the other, 26, base form. The next one of the two, of course, he had a plural hitman, so he had to have a second guy found it with him. David Russell Edgerton. Now remember Edgar, like as in Edgar Allan Poe, but he's got an ER. So it's David, the to and from, active, vital, identified, to and from. Russell, to rustle something together or to reference underlying subjects upon themselves and express between two L's. And then Edgerton is to work through ton, but we'll just say express, dia, generated, expressed reference plus ongoing notion. So you see how they're taking things from one form, turning them into something else, and giving that to other people. And coincidentally enough, he was also born in May, which is the bottom line expression. Now, his birth year wasn't 26. His birthday was 26. So from one side to the other, he joined another guy as a plural hitman. And then 27, the question mark, or you could say base generator. So he's also part of Burger King. And he's the guy who came along and helped get sales going better. He's a base generator, based intense, because 20 is now in twents, but the B, would be based in twents. So now, those two guys together, you can see why they are people who served death. Next, we have Robert O. Peterson. Now, all names may just seem like a simple name, but the way they're arranged is magic. Reference ongoing base expressed reference plus ongoing subject unseen concept active reference or constant to itself. Peterson, placement of eater's sin or potential expressed plus expressed reference subjecting ongoing notion from a Rob Oscar. P. Eaterson, but Peterson. Okay, now March, which is 3 constant to him or the unseen concept of something. 13, the active unseen or the manifestation. 1916, the potential. So the unseen concept of the manifested potential or the constant to itself manifested potential. Because if it's constant to itself and it's unseen, it's dead. And then 16, put into place. Place Peterson. See how that goes right with all of it. Now, even though this is a grotesque theme to this video, because it's death, and I don't eat or contribute to any death. If I walk and I accidentally step on a bug, that's the only thing I wouldn't know about. But anything I can prevent from causing any suffering in the world, I do that. If I can lessen any kind of pollution that I know of, I do that. This being the founder of Jack in the Box. Now, if you have something in the box and you jacked it with your name being Robert or Rob Oscar, and then place at an eater's son or sign, Peterson, because usually it sounds like sin at the end. You don't usually say Peterson, place Eaterson, and it's Rob Oscar. See what I'm saying? So then, on top of that, Jack. When you jack something, that's Rob. The junction that's coming into tense, active, unseen concept, kinetic, or unseen concept, constant to itself, kinetic. Jack, in a box, from Rob, Oscar, Peterson. Now we have Troy Newell Smith Sr., born May 26, 1922. Now Troy Smith, he's the founder of Sonic, another burger joint, Car Hops. Okay, so territory has something to do with his name because Troy is about the plus reference ongoing vitally identified. When you look at it, you can see that TROY is just like if you would have a placement of, say, the word tree, the plus reference expressing upon itself. Now that plus reference is ongoing vitally identified, so it's the territory. But not only that, with his middle name being Newell, Nuel, he's known for the first drive-in kind of burger joint where people are driving around or riding around on roller skates. Okay, now roller skates are a notion underlying the first expression as it lie. And what would be a notion underlying you expressing as it lie? A roller skate. Do you see how that makes so much sense? And his name is Troy. So not only is he territory, he's the plus reference ongoing vitally identified. Now Newell, that notion of underlying expressed as it lie. So if something is the notion of underlying, that's dying and expressing as it lies. So at the same time, his name is not only Troy, but to Troy Newell and then Smith is to subject the manifested identified plus here. So all of that stuff together with his birthday being May, which is 5, bottom line expression, 26th, Z, from one side to another, 22 being vital. And he's another burger joint. People weren't thinking about the lives that were being lost to support their money-making of a scheme where they're selling death. This is how twisted and sick it really is if you understand what goes into it all. To finish off with him, Sonic. We all like the word Sonic and we think supersonic and subject, ongoing notion, identified concept. But it's the unseen concept when it's something like Troy, Newell, Smith. See how all those things go together? And they end up equaling death when you add the birthday of being May, which is the manifested act of vital identity, or E, the bottom line expression, the 5th. And then you have 26, which is from one side to the other. And then 22 is a vital thing, something that was vital from one side. It's just, it all adds up so much to just death from these people. It's mind-blowing and sick, but I'm telling you, the words are magic. And it's just this, the universe is a huge sowing circle in that kind of way. We're sowing our seeds by what we say, and the letters that we read are literally our living word, life sentence. And the way we fix it is by finding ourselves inside. These people could have done it, but they had to do something difficult. And they have a lot to deal with because of all the death they caused and profited off of. All kinds of things come back to these kind of individuals. And we're living it now also. That's if you understand, in this timelessness, this is happening to all of us for what we've been letting happen and what we know to be some of our timeline. So whatever has been going on at any time in the world that is wrong, if you see something that resembles that or is doing that wrong thing, that's what matters now. Okay, so our last founder is Glenn Bell, Taco Bell. Glenn William Bell, Jr. What happens when you get your bell wrong? Their old classic advertisement, they still do it. Dong, Taco Bell. Born September 3rd, 1923. Okay, September is the I, the identified. 3 is the constant to himself or unseen concept. And then 23 is W, or plural, or based concept. Unseen concept with C, but based into any. So, you don't know what's in those things. You just get a bunch of crap. Honestly, death. He's the founder of it. Glenn, generated or grouped, severed and even, as it lay, expressed notion. William, you could shorten that to Bill, and anyone who understands any of the occult knows about Baal, Bill, the bull, Bell, all that kind of stuff. So you got Glenn, generated, as it lie, expressed notion. Then you have William, the plural identified between two L's, plural, ill, I am. And then you could shorten it to Bill if you wanted to understand some of the occult parts. And then Bell is his last name, base expressed between two L's. So he's going to generate, as it lie, expressed notion, plural, ill, plural identified between two L's, identified active manifestation. And then base express, as it lie between two L's. Glenn William Bell, September I, 3rd, unseen concept, or constant to him, 1923, plural. Now, none of these people had to go through lives of serving death. But what people don't understand is that it's not just a cult. It's the universe itself, learning from itself and trying to do better. There actually is an outcome where it can be better. But these people got lost in what we would refer to as the sins that make them worry about capitalizing on others. Whether it's the lives of animals, the lives of people, the health of people, whatever it may be, for some people to get their place in the world, they'll do it. And their names will resonate with why they'll do certain things. And they can be the nicest people and donate money and be a philanthropist even. But you know what? They were still serving death to people with a smile on their face, which is a moral sin. Regardless of any religious background, you're doing less than. You know you could do better. Always. There's no dispute about that. We are not primitive. People need to get off that. Now, those are all of the founders and their restaurants that I'm going to do in this video. But let's just add one more thing that is known as a separate thing than a burger joint. Then I ended with Taco Bell, which is just ground slop and nasty pieces of animals that shouldn't have, first of all, been bred into life because we could do better things with our food. But then also, they are bred into life and then killed and treated like nothing when they have living essence in them. They do. It doesn't matter what people want to think. They're alive. Whether we brought them to life or not, let's stop bringing them to life in the first place, and then it wouldn't be an issue. Let them either roam the rest of their lives as we dwindle our way down of moving out of eating meat. That's what we need to do in order to save our souls and the planet, because that's all one big thing happening all together. That's why we're being so harsh to each other, because we're eating so much death. We're disconnected from everything nature is and depending on machines because we've lost our damn minds. The last little restaurant, I'll just throw in Arby's as the active reference, base vitally identified. And there, where's the meat? The meat! Base identified. The active reference, base vitally identified. And then subject it. Okay, so have any kind of meat at Arby's. They're not just known for burgers, or they're not just known for mostly tacos. It's just the meat. Go there and get roast beef, turkey, ham, all that other stuff. It's crap. You're eating death. I may as well throw in the founder of Arby's as well. Leroy Brown Raffle, born March 13th, 1927. We have Leroy, the Ling expressing reference ongoing vitally identified, base reference ongoing plural manifested, reference active form upon form expressing as it lie. Notice his name is much different, and he's the one who has the raffle of meats, all of them, everything you can think of, all the meat. Raw, fell, light, fell. Light forms upon themselves express something else as it lie in that active base. And then his birthday being March the 3rd, the constant to himself or the unseen concept. Now 13th, manifested as an active concept. And then 27, the based generated, or the based generated and grouped, or the question mark. Notice how almost all these guys have something in common with either their names or their date of birth. There's a lot of 3s and 30s and 5s and 26s because they're bottom line expressions. And then the only one who's not involved with any of those numbers is Ray Kroc, the junction of bottom line base. These aren't just coincidences. Now, if you look through them, you can see why each one has a specific thing that they do. The two Burger King, they were May 30th, 26 and May 26, 27. So those two guys, one has the constant ongoing from one side to the other, and the other one's bottom line from one side to the other, base generated and grouped. So he helped expand that business, Burger King. Now we have Arby's, which you say 3, 13, 27, the question mark, because it's all of them. It's 3, the constant to itself, manifestation, and then the question mark. So that's Arby's. Then you have Ray Kroc, like I said, the intense, or J, the junction to, the bottom line of expression, and the ongoing base, O2. Dave Thomas from Wendy's, he's July, which is generated and grouped, second, base, and then 32. Constant to itself, intense, because it's 30, and then base. So it's the generated and grouped baseline, constant to itself, or unseen base. You go into Robert Peterson from Jack in the Box, and he is unseen concept 3, active concept 13, and then 16 in place. So it's the unseen concept, or constant to itself, manifested in place. It's a box, okay? And then Troy Smith from Sonic, it's bottom line expression 5, from side to side 26, and vital, sonic, something that's quick and speedy, or supersonic, or people that are moving back and forth on roller skates. And then Taco Bell, Glenn Bell, identified, unseen concept, and 23, plural. Do you see how that is? It's identified, unseen concept, and plural. A whole bunch of tacos, a whole bunch of things ground up. Identified, unseen concept, constant to himself, plural. He's the only one who has his name in the title as well. Just a taco is fine. But if you know it goes into all this stuff with everything else resonating, it's weird stuff, but I'm telling you, it's all math and it all adds up. You may not like this video, but I'm telling you this because I love you and I know how to save your soul and find your way back to your spirit, find the balance of the two, bring peace to this earth, and restore the human ability to be compassionate and loving towards one another. That's why I'm doing this for you. There's no agenda other than to help you find God, because I'm there and I'm waiting for you. Till next time, God bless and peace.